Lango Indigenous hip-hop. Carbon dioxide levels have reached 420 parts per million.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
You are welcome for this short but very important event today, 19th of September 2022. So with all the capacities and the different protocols observed, I greet you good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon.
My name is Bruno Serun Kumakejo, and I am the Executive Director of ACSET Uganda. I am also the Chief Executive Officer for Vart Africa Solutions Limited. At ACSET, we implement projects that cover the following areas. We cover agriculture and economic development. We cover renewable energy and clean drinking water. We cover education and vocational skill development. Then we cover health and social protection. As ACSET, the component of agriculture is very key, and we cannot implement agriculture in isolation. So we have been doing a lot, bringing on board several stakeholders in agriculture. We have been supporting local government to integrate some of the key components of climate change into their development plans. We have also been supporting local government in integrating local economic development into their development plans. We have implemented several projects under renewable energy and vocational skill training. But today, we are looking at climate change in totality. The reason why we are here is about the climate change. Well aware that climate change is real, the window for action is rapidly closing. So we must stop talking and take action to reduce, to mitigate, and to adapt to the climate change if we want to address the climate change pandemic. In November this year, Egypt will be hosting the 27th conference of the parties. Many times it is called COP, with a view of building on previous successes and paving ways of future ambitions. It is a golden opportunity for all stakeholders to rise up to the occasion and tackle effectively the global challenges of climate change facilitated by Egypt on behalf of the African continent. So the vision of COP27 is to improve on the negotiations and planning to implementation. So it's like we are now moving on from planning and negotiation, but to real implementations. It is against this background that ACSET Uganda, in partnership with the Lango Indigenous Hip Hop and Vart Africa, today we are launching a campaign on climate change action. We don't want to keep talking, we want to take action. But this time we want it unique to come at the ground level. Every stakeholder and every individual getting involved in the climate change fight. And we are saying, let culture, let creative hearts, let every stakeholder, let the church get rooted into the climate change action. This campaign is titled, "Trees Are Not Our Commodity." This campaign will run for a period of 12 months, providing key information about climate change and needs for action in a clear and easily assimilated way to the stakeholders that are down at the grassroots. The campaign intends to make key achievements in the climate change a locally rooted conversation among citizens, among cultural leaders, among private sector actors, among political departments in the districts and sub-counties, including youth councilors, as future drivers of the climate agenda. And we want to create a community-based environmental protection movement that unites us in the region. This will lead to a joint protection of the existing forest reserves and also endangered tree species, you know of the shea trees in the shea belt of northern Uganda. We want to engage cultural leaders to reclaim their roles in environmental protection. We are well aware that some years back, culture was very strong on issues of tree planting and tree cutting, but it has gone very low. And during this campaign, we want to re-engage them and say, okay, wake up. Can culture reclaim their roles in environmental protection? We want to support them to design cultural policies on climate change. You know, as a child, you are born in a given culture, and a child mimics what big people or adult people say. We also want to engage the church. The church plays a very, very big role in the development, in nurturing, in the change of mindset, and we cannot leave them from this campaign. And I'm here saying we want to engage the church to take lead also in promoting environmental sensitive actions by the local people. We will continue doing advocacy and implementing activities that are so much into the local people. The second pillar that we are going to implement in this campaign is engaging the local government and private sector in the climate change action. The climate movement will engage private sector to support them and work together with the local government in what we call public-private partnership. So as private sector is investing, as private sector is doing business, they should work hand in hand with the local government, but not forgetting that climate change policies and activities should be integrated into their business development. So the climate change actions will be incorporated into the local government development plans, their annual work plans and budget. The district climate change steering committees will be formed, and we want to see climate change focal point persons appointed at the district and also at the sub-county levels to spearhead the climate change fights. The public-private partnership formed to address climate change extremism and to perform key necessary climate change mitigations. We will also continue to disseminate information that are easily taken up by local government, easily taken up by private sector, easily taken up by culture, church, and creative arts. Today is just the launch of this campaign. Series of activities will take place from today until a period of 1 year. And we are calling all supporters, come and join us. We are calling all stakeholders that this is not the fight for ACSET and Lango, Indigenous, hip hop and Vart, but it is all stakeholders joining hands to ensure that our environment is safe. The take home is, let's get rooted in the climate change action, and the action is now. We cannot wait. To the private sector actors, please cut the grid, not the green. To culture, religious leaders, and creative arts, let's speak for the trees. Then to the local government and NGOs, trees are not our commodities. We need to stand up and protect them. I want to thank you so much for today, and let me end by saying for God and my country.
Mr. Director, the representative of His Highness, my name is Martin Ocheno Diek. I am making this speech for this presentation on behalf of the Executive Director, Lango Indigenous Hip Hop, Mr. Jasper Wany, who is currently not with us, is currently pursuing his PhD in biology in Switzerland. I want to basically base on the contribution of hip hop on climate action. When I talk of hip hop, these are a set of musicians who have chosen another dimension of music. Most people call it hip hop, but for them they call it hip hop. Colleagues, think about a creative breed of African youth generation that is focused on climate leadership. That would be really, really powerful. Hip hop allows us to divulge into conversation that engages cultural leaders to reclaim the role of culture in the climate action. Actually, as Bruno says, unfortunately, these practices are dying out. For us in the hip hop fraternity, it allows us to reclaim them back. We're reclaiming what was taken away by the foreign ideology. Now we want to get into space to formulate cultural policies on climate change action in the local dialect. As Bruno said, we're going to help translate some of these policies into local dialect, so that everybody, even at the local level, can be supervised by the local leaders. We need to divulge deeper into the development of culturally acceptable guidelines about environmental protection that can help us study and preserve our environment. I want to say this going forward. We've seen the production of chia nut in the chia nut belt going down. Do you know why? People have cut the husbands to these trees. People have cut the males. These big trees you see around the chia nut trees, these are husbands to the females. Now, in the event that they have cut all the husbands to the female have no option than to fight for these few husbands around. We know cross-pollination. If our people could stop this nonsense of cutting the big chia nut trees for charcoal, our female chia nut trees would have enough male trees to help them cross-pollinate, and the production of chia nut would really come. And that is why in the hip hop fraternity, we think using art and music power will help us engage the youth, engage the cultural leaders to make sure that we preserve our environment. We are not doing something new, friends. We are just simply taking our responsibility, and we hope as we take our responsibility as hip hop, the culture part of it will do that part. Thank you very much.
I am Grace Baluka. I work for Caritas Leader as a project officer. I want to take this opportunity to thank the organizers of this event for giving us the opportunity as the diocese to also have a feel or to participate in an activity that affects humanity. Caritas is a development arm of the diocese, and we are operating in the Lango sub-region. We carry on a number of activities. We do agriculture. We are doing issues related with the child protection, socio-economic strengthening. But our bigger area is mostly in agriculture, where we support humanity irrespective of their denomination, irrespective of their tribes. We handle everybody together. The topic at hand, climate change, is something that we've taken on. We have been very much rooted into trying to fight issues related with climate change. We have a number of activities which include the tree planting. We have also involved in activities that are geared towards mitigating issues related with climate change. So I want to take this time to thank ACSET for joining us. I would say they are joining us because this is something that we had taken on before. We pledge to work hand in hand with you to see that issues related with climate change are fought. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, the moderator, who is also our MC for this program. I want to thank a lot my brother Bruno, who is the director of ACSET Uganda, for having invited us to participate in this advocacy program, the activist work of advocating about the climate change. Just like I've introduced myself before, I am still Reverend Captain Patrick Benson Ogwang. I work at the diocese as the acting diocesan mission and outreach coordinator and the vicar All Saints Cathedral Boroboro. Now, with this launch, I want to say that the church is going to use the pulpit to let the world know and to let the world act, make effective action to see to it that our environment is protected. We always have opportunities as the church. We don't need to make announcements. We have opportunities on Sundays. We have opportunities in different kinds of gathering. And I want to appreciate the Bishop of the Diocese of Lango, starting from year 2019, where the schools that are under our foundation of the Anglican, trees were distributed so that the schools and then the churches could go on to plant them. And I think that is already a move to show to you that really we are very much concerned to fight against this climate change so that we can really have good life. And as our slogan, I could say, is saying trees are not our commodity. Actually, trees are very important biblically. And 56 verses in the Bible talks about trees. So if 56 verses in the Bible talks about trees, it shows how important they are, especially the natural trees that we have. For example, when you read in Psalm 52 verse 8, it talks about, the psalmist talks about himself as the olive tree. And if you find the word olive tree appearing in the Bible, that is a sign of peace and a sign of friendship. And now you will come to realize that when we protect the trees that we have, that is the sign, that is a promotion of the peace that we must have. If we sustain or protect the trees that we have, that is developing a friendship, developing a relationship. For example, the Shiana trees. Whoever sits under the Shiana trees, you really feel how good the atmosphere around is. And whoever takes in the Shiana oil, you really feel how good your body is feeling. And you'll come to realize that it acts as medicinal. But because of the growth in the population, because we have misinterpreted the Bible, that we should reproduce, multiply, and fill the earth, you find that these trees, people have fought against them, cutting them down, just like my brother Martin has made mention, that the husband to these trees are cut down, and then the cross-pollination cannot happen. So I think this is the time we, the religious people, we should start preaching the true gospel. Let us preach the gospel that considers producing quality people that have a good mindset towards quality environment. That is what we should preach. Not preaching only about having the quantity of the number of people so that the numbers of our church participants or church parishioners should increase and then the offertory increases. Now, if we don't have quality people, then it means we are going to also realize the offertory that are not quality. So, but if we have quality people who have good mindsets towards protecting the environment and the climate, then it means that we will also realize quality offertory. So I want to assure that in this launch, we are part and parcel of fighting and improving our environment and fighting the climate change so that we can really promote the commands that God has said we should subdue the earth. And this can only happen when we work together with the ACSET Uganda, when we work together with the cultural frontality, when we work together with the hip hop people. When I sat here and I was listening to the song that was being rapped, you call it rapping? Yes, it was very good. It was getting inside me. So I think people feel the lyrics and then they will be attracted to the message that is being said. And then when we combine together with the message from the Bible, using the pulpit well, I do believe that we are going to realize the effective result, and we shall succeed in really fighting this climate change. Thank you.
Again,
Good afternoon.
I bring you warm greetings from His Highness, the Wanyashi of Lango, Mzee Yosamodure B. When I told him I was on my way here, he said, "We remote gidoe doe." So reme unu doe doe. Patrick Abal is my name, as I said at the beginning. I'm a clan chief, Awitong of Arakungoda, but also in the office of His Highness, I'm the Minister for Culture, Heritage, and Tourism. I'm a very, very passionate person when it comes to this environment. And that makes me the activist. The point I want to start with is that if ever humanity has faced an existential threat, it was at the time of Noah. Remember when Noah was building his ark? I see the films where the others were drinking and celebrating and saying Noah was mentally deranged. But when the floods came, they were the ones gnashing their teeth in the floods. This climate change is not a small subject. It is a big, big, big one. His Highness gave me this, that to him, he looks at the way we are handling our environment like we are undressing the earth. God gave us the earth with all the endowments, but we have been systematically undressing the earth to a point that the earth is almost naked now. And this is where the threat comes in. In Lango culture, those big, big trees, the tech trees you are talking about, used to be the place for worship, used to be where we would go and plead for rain, and the Lord would give us the rain. Jojo Kamalu, before you even reach home, the rain has already fallen. It used to be where we have our big ceremonies. At that time, Lango, its culture, environment, and God were in one place. But now the Itekans have been cut, every other tree is cut, even those which give us the best medicines have been cut and desecrated. So Mother Earth is crying the way we have been handling it. And because of that, we have come up with a few strategies. Some of them are already working, others are in the planning. One, we have decided that in every district in Lango, we should have a 5-acre piece of land in which we will plant Wonyashi forest. 5 acres of Wonyashi forest in every district. This request has already gone out to all the local government leaders so that we have in every district. This forest will be integrated. In other words, you won't get only pine or teak. It is all the trees that used to be will be there. Udugu, Imeng, Ioro, whatever. Akwala, Ikore, and all that. It will be a forest that encompasses all the trees. We know them, indigenous and even foreign, will be in this location. The request is out and proposals are being developed so that we have them. In fact, the one of Otuke may be more, because there we are looking at a much bigger land. Secondly, Lango Cultural Foundation has already entered into partnership with Busoga Kingdom, and this initiative is being supported by Rotary International. They are supporting this initiative. They have already advanced 300 million towards this effort. But because this is Busoga and this is Lango, they are saying we should look at the shores of Lake Kyoga, Lake Wania, and along the shores of the River Nile, as far as it can go. So there will be activity in this area. And this is a very good partnership. We'll also take note that last year there were floods. Where these floods ended will guide us where we can locate this corridor of forests. Before the COVID-19 came in, shortly before, Lango Cultural Foundation had coined together what we are calling Tour de Lango. Now, this Tour de Lango was an initiative of getting our people, to young men and women, to ride bicycles, their local bicycles around Lango, as a mobilization strategy for 4 days. We had already registered 40 riders, and one of them was a woman. At the stop where they were going to have stops, there were tree planting arrangements. But shortly before we could do it, the COVID struck, and it hasn't been very easy. So we are looking into this initiative to be revived in the March of 2023, Tour de Lango, as a mobilization strategy, but more geared towards environmental action. If we can put more trees, we redress the naked Mother Earth. If you hear what the Prime Minister has been saying in most of the rallies, at funerals, we are also gearing for planting more of the perennial crops and fruit trees as opposed to these seasonal crops, because majority of these perennial crops happen to be trees. You plant a fruit tree, it will be there for years. You think you are just picking the fruits? No, you are also doing something good for the environment. And this is what we want to do, to be telling people. We also have identified historical sites, about 7, 8, but likely to be more. A site like Otuke Hill, where the Langi first settled before spreading out to the rest of what we now call Lango. Otuke, Gorotuke is already a historical site. We are told there are even where you find Mweso, Choro, where they were playing, you find where they were grinding the mill. So we intend that these sites be developed into an ecotourism, but also environmentally friendly places where you can take time. So these are some of the efforts we are making, in addition, of course, to discouraging the use of kavera, because kavera chokes the earth. You bury it down, the earth doesn't breathe. Part of the choking, part of the dying of Mother Earth, and which is going to be an existential threat, is because of choking Mother Earth. It's not breathing freely. The trees are cut. It is bare. It is very difficult situation. It is crying, actually. So this are some of the strategies the Cultural Foundation is undertaking. The other time I was in the church, and the bishop, His Lordship Lino Wanok, made a pronouncement that that was a resolution from the Catholic bishops of East Africa. And he summarized it very well. He said, in every family, every homestead, there should be a cage for collecting any kavera, any plastic. You do it like this after drinking, put it in that bag. Don't throw it away because it will get into the earth and choke Mother Earth. Because once you put it like that, it can be scientifically managed. There are people who collect and recycle and make it a better activity. Don't throw it anywhere. Number 2, he says, don't burn. The worst is to burn it, because the smoke, whatever comes from here, the gas that comes from burning it, goes into the atmosphere, and it is that which is forming the coating, the blanket, which affects sun rays. We are getting warmer because the sun rays, when they hit Mother Earth, they cannot fly back into the atmosphere. There is this blanket, and burning this thickens that blanket. So don't burn it. The third he said was, even dry grass, don't burn it. Let it rot. Let the termites eat it. Don't burn anything. In fact, traditionally our soils were very, very fertile, because whatever came even from animals, even from humans, were not hidden away. They were put somewhere there so that the process continues. But now, because of modernity, what we call modernity, what comes from the Mother Earth is not going back to Mother Earth. Others are stored away into pit latrines, into all that, so that not enough is going back. And that's the need for now fertilizers. So if we do all this, we'll be somehow protecting Mother Earth. And I liked the resolution that the bishops came up with. If every family could do that, maybe we would move someplace. So these are some of the efforts we are doing, Director. We are very pleased that you have identified Lango Cultural Foundation as a stakeholder in this. In fact, a major stakeholder. Yeah. Because soon, if Mother Earth cannot feed the children, the elders are the first to be seen crying, weeping, tearing, because the children must be fed. The Lord gave us all this. We misuse it. We must accept. But is there a remedy we can do at this time, when the whole earth, the whole world is in this momentum of what can we do to save Mother Earth? If we fail in this, as I said, we face an existential threat from the climate change and global warming. I thank you very much. Okay. The one who says it is a source of livelihood. And if you say people should not cut trees, how will they survive? But I think all that is part of what they say, the structure of sustainable development. Sustainable development means extract, but in a wise, educated, and scientific way, so that what you get out does not destabilize the whole structure. In other words, plant 10 trees, cut 1 or 2. By the time this one becomes a big tree, it will have kind of overshadowed the effect of you cutting that one. But if you cut and you have planted nothing. You cut 10 and you have planted nothing. Then you are not extracting the tree resource sustainably. So the balance is, what are you investing so that what you reap does not destabilize the equation. I think that is the important thing. The same with wetlands. People are being told, please protect the wetlands. Not that you should not use it, but can you use it in such a way that it does not dry up, that it still continues to filter out the water and its other roles and its habitat quality for other living things. If that can be done with the environmental specialists, there is a way the swamps, the wetlands can still be used. So they are not saying, please don't. They know it is important. And that's why these scientists are very important in the way they reason their things. Somebody said, what are the signs that things are bad? This one, I think one thing I always tell other people, in the 60s, in those early days when we grew up, you could not sleep at night without a night dress, both men and women. But I'm sure now people sleep the way they were born. Majority. I may be wrong, but I see it from myself. I'm comfortable sleeping the way I was born. So that tells you that something is happening. Something is happening. Our rains have become shorter, very short. In fact, sometimes 1 month it is gone. In the 70s, when we were going, I used to travel from Molatar to go to Arua for my senior one, Ombachi, St. Joseph's College, Ombachi. We would sleep here in this bus park. There was a bus park, small thing, like this house, like this tent here. It was called a bus park. We would sleep there. There were times it would rain from 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening to 7 in the morning. And you stand the whole night. But where are the rains now? 30 minutes, 10, 20 minutes, the rain is gone. So the signs are there. Things have gotten bad. The desert has come down south. The temperatures are very high. The heat waves now in Europe, heat wave, maybe you don't know, where you are like 28 degrees centigrade, all of a sudden it shoots to 40. And people die in their southerns because of those. Those are rampant. The melting of the ice from the Arctic is real, you see it. And because of that, the level of water at the shores of all the major seas and oceans is going up. And some of the cities will be underwater and will be abandoned. So the signs are there. The earth is becoming warmer. Global warming is real, and we must do something about it. This is why the drive. Everybody, even in that Europe, in Cairo, when you will be going, you'll see people literally crying to save Mother Earth. So if you can do something, plant a tree or do something, save Mother Earth. That is my appeal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maybe just to add on what Chief has highlighted, I will just pick from there. There are so many scientific statistics, but we don't want to go so much into statistics because my grandmother in the village will not understand that statistic. We want to come to reality of what is happening. We have seen floods, several. We are just from seeing the scenario of Umbale floods. We have witnessed several floods here in Lango sub-region. Some of them have swept away individuals. Our relatives have died. We have seen gardens getting flooded. We have seen the situation in Amolatar for last year, 2021, where almost even the district headquarters was about to get flooded. We have seen several of such kind of effects that are as a result of climate change. Now, we cannot keep talking and pleading and crying. It is the right time we need to take action. And I want to put it very clearly that it is not just threats. In fact, we just don't want anyone to panic. We want to create even more panic so that you take action, because these are real and we are seeing it almost every day. The issue of rain pattern, we cannot talk about every details. Back to statistics, the world over statistic is telling us that 3.5 to 7 billion trees are cut every year. And these are statistics from companies. These are statistics from countries. And these are forest reserves that at least you can have data from. What about my local shea nuts here? Are they counted? They are not. Meaning this statistic is far much beyond, and we cannot sit and wait. Sometimes statistics lie, but sometimes it's real. And these are things we are seeing it with our local naked eyes. So we need to take action today. You also ask about the gaps. Have we identified the gaps? The answer is yes. There are so many gaps. While we are seeing all these eventualities happening, there are people that are supposed to take action. Many of these campaigns are at international level. Many of the people who go to these kind of discussions are scientists, people of class, country leaders, but the real effect for climate change is down at the grassroots. Many of these documents, the statistics, the explanation, the concepts are very scientific and they cannot understand. And we are saying that is a very big gap. Can we break this down to a local language that even my grandmother in the village can understand the effect or the impact of this climate change and they take action? Can we work with the cultural leaders who are directly in touch with the people in the village? Can we work with the church who are meeting the local people every Sunday and they tell them facts about this in their local language in the way that they can understand? These are serious gaps that we have identified, and we think if we engage them and they take action and they play a role in the climate change, then we are setting things to a better level. Can we let the private sector, who is so angry about making profit, know that they are profiting on humanity, but they have a role to play in the climate change fight? We are saying private sector, cut the grid, not the green. We are starting this campaign here for Lango region, but we will expand. We want to see how it works as per our region, Lango. And then when we now expand to other regions, we are picking also learnings from what has transpired here. So for this 12 months, we are having it in Lango region. Thank you.
Maybe just to add, so much as many people have continued to campaign and a lot of changes has not been realized, we should continue to push on until we realize what is supposed to be realized. And I think in this campaign, the policy promoters, those who make sure that the policies are succeeded in this kind of a fight, I think they have to come together. The policies that are put to really protect the environment should not be only for the poor. It should also be for the rich. Because sometimes now, maybe when somebody is poor and then he goes to reclaim the swamp and then is taken to sell, but again somebody who has something in the hand comes and do the same, then the policy does not work on the person. I think that is not being good. So I think it has to embrace everyone. The policy promoters should show that this thing is good for the poor as well as for the rich.
Lango Indigenous hip hop. Carbon dioxide levels have reached 420 parts per million. This is not acceptable.